Power of sale listings are up in Toronto. They're representing still less than 1% of the new listings every single month, but the number is building. And it kind of makes sense how we got to this point. But in this video, I'm going to break down what is currently for sale that is a power of sale and what has actually sold so far in 2025. Because more than anything, I think I want you to know, should you consider buying them or not? My name is Tom Storey. I'm a real estate agent here in the city of Toronto. And so far in 2025, we've been involved in multiple power of sale situations, mostly on the buyer side, which I want to cover in today's video. But we also had one situation this year where we are representing the bank. So I want to clear up a few things and then show you, I'm going to do like a live view of my screen today. I am a real estate agent. I have access to this information. I'm like, okay, well, let's just show you what I can see. So we're all on the same page here instead of kind of guessing what is going on. Because it's not always just one property type, but I did notice specifically for currently available power of sales in the city of Toronto, where they're located is interesting. There's like one area where there's like basically none, and then surrounding it is where kind of they're all happening. The number's not huge, but I will break it down today. Now, a power of sale is typically what it's called here in Canada. And just to simplify this, effectively, you missed your mortgage payment, you miss it again, the bank reaches out, they give you a period of time to get caught up on everything. If you do not do that, they take over the property and they sell it. And they're just trying to get their loan money back. And after that's taken care of and the lawyers are paid, anything left, would they go back to the previous owner of that property? So that is something that can happen. I will also say, before we get into the numbers today, there are many distressed sales that cannot be seen in clear sight. So there's lots of people that potentially like are 30 days away from going to power of sale, that their property is for sale on the market. But nowhere in the listing would it be indicated that they're in a bad situation. Typically, you're not going to put that in there because you don't want buyers to know, okay, like this is the seller that really has to sell. And sometimes, frankly, the sellers are putting it up for sale at their price, which isn't market price, because they can't afford to sell for less because they'd be taking a hit. And that's when the bank takes over. Now, there are two ways, in my opinion, to find properties that are power of sales. The first way is very simple. In our system, I can put in the word power of sale in the remarks for the real estate agents called broker remarks, and it will show me all the ones that say, hey, this is a power of sale. The second way, because I did two searches for this video, the second way is I can put in the name of the seller, and I did every way you could possibly put in all the big five banks, like based on RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, the short forms, the long forms, Scotiabank, Bank of Nova Scotia, everything in there to populate a second list as well. So that's how I pulled the data for today's video. I also recognize there could be some private lenders or corporations that have taken something over because of a power of sale that didn't indicate it. Power of sale wasn't a big bank. So there could be power of sales that are for sale in Toronto that are not on this list, but I feel like I've gotten like the bulk of them, at least 90 to 95% of them. Okay, so enough of me rambling about what it is. I want to just show you what's going on. Is it as bad as people say? And then for these type of properties, if you're a buyer and it fits your criteria, should you buy it? Because I think a lot of people just think power of sale means cheap, and that's not always the case. Okay, so what we are looking at here first, there is 55 results right now. These are active listings as of me filming this video that are power of sales in the city of Toronto based on the word power of sale being in the remarks of the listing. This is not the total. There are more than this. I'm going to show you the second search just after this. And you can see on the left side here, you know, we're starting at $375,000. Going all the way down to almost $4 million. So we're covering lots of different price points, and you can see a lot of them in the higher price ranges are houses. And then as we go down for the lower price ranges, we're probably going to see more condos. Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I thought. If we take a look here at the city of Toronto, and we'll zoom in a little bit, this gives you like the different areas and where the power of sales are actually located. So what you can see is you've got the downtown core over here. You've got a few more that we're seeing kind of Scarborough. There's one there in the beaches, but only the one that's showing up. And then you've kind of got them scattered around the city. Not a lot in the West End here. You know, not a lot actually in W05 at Jane and Finch. Hardly any power of sales. Kind of interesting to note that. And then as we kind of zoom in here, you can see this like Midtown area. What's going on here? Not a ton of power of sales happening in that like kind of single family upscale Midtown area of the city of Toronto. Same idea. We can zoom into Rosedale and the annex. Basically nothing. Not a lot going on. So a lot of them are kind of spread out downtown into the east end, and then you got a lot in the north side of the city as well. So this is the first one I want to show you. Now I want to take a look at the second search that I've done. So I'll pull that up now. Okay, so we've got the second search up here now. This is the one that I did where the bank's name was the seller. So it's very clear that it's a power of sale, even if they didn't indicate it in the listing, because it was listed by a bank. That wouldn't happen in any other circumstance. Same idea. Let's take a look on the left here, starting at $360,000 and going up all the way. Oh, this one actually caps at like 1.7 million. That's a good area downtown Toronto, actually. So you can see they're kind of all over the place. Now, if we take a look at where these are located, you're going to see like a fairly similar trend. Got some stuff going on downtown, not a lot in the middle of the city in those neighborhoods. You're seeing quite a few more, at least compared to other parts of the city in Scarborough. If you zoom in here in Leslieville and the beaches, there's one, and it's a $360,000 condo. So no houses and power of sale in those areas. Same idea, Trinity Bellwoods, you're not really seeing much. That's going to be a condo right there. And nothing in the Roncy, Parkdale area, or in the one over here right on the cusp of the junction, Emplore West. So just to give you an idea of like where are these actually located and how are they spread out throughout the city, you're getting a mix of condos and homes. So hopefully that gave you a pretty good idea of like what's for sale, where is it located, and what are the price points that we're seeing for power of sale. It's not all really cheap stuff. There's some higher end stuff as well. But that's what's available as of me recording this video in the early parts of October. Let's take a look at what actually sold. So based on these same two search criteria, let's show you how many have sold so far this year. So we're going to jump back into the search here. Now, this is no longer active. This is the red dots are sold. So these are successfully sold. Same idea, starting at $320,000. And let's see what the most expensive one was. Over $3 million. So there you go. You really have the price ranges jumping all over the place. Lytton's like a great neighborhood as well. Okay, so going back to this, this is the search based on the sellers' names being the banks. So I'm more just curious to take a look into these areas here and see where these happening. You can see a lot are the downtown condos. Not really seeing anything in Leslieville, Riverdale, beaches. You're seeing a few more, and this is going to look fairly similar to where they're located today, right? The prime neighborhoods of Toronto, you're not seeing a large amount of power and sales. There might be one or two here and there, but not too many are happening. You're seeing the bulk of them are kind of happening in that downtown core, and then the rest are kind of spread out north, east, west, some being in the center of the city, but not a whole lot. You can see here, there's one here. Yeah, this was the one I actually talked about before. I was kind of surprised to see that address. They're kind of spread out throughout the city. Now let's look again at the sold properties based on the ones that said power of sales somewhere in the listing. So here it is broken down. You got 58 that fall in that category. So right now for City of Toronto, if you add up like what's on the market, there's just like, I think just over 100 power of sales, at least in the City of Toronto. And then you look at, going from what's sold the entire year of 2025, again, we're talking about 100. It is still obviously such a very small percentage of the overall market, but significantly higher than we've seen in many, many years. And that's why when the reports are going to come out, they're going to look like power of sales are up 30%, 80%, 100%, because we're dealing with very small numbers to medium numbers, but they're going to look big versus that. So let's take a look here. Again, this is the one that just says power of sale. This gives you a bit more, it looks like, in the, not really, a few more in Midtown. Looks like condos in Midtown. This is a bit more kind of everywhere. Still like those areas everyone wants to go to. Not a lot here, not a lot here, not a lot here. You're going to see more in Scarborough. You're going to see more in the north side of the city and a bit more in the west. But it seems like the biggest cluster of them for the most part here happening downtown into the east end and the north pockets of the city. But my whole point for making this video was to tell you what the experience is actually like if you're a purchaser and you find a property that is under power of sale. because it is different than just buying directly from a seller. When you're buying from a bank, there's a few things that you need to know. First thing is that for the most part, in 95% of cases, the bank wants an as-is offer. And what essentially that means is you are buying the house as is. The fridge doesn't work, too bad. The appliances don't work, too bad. There's an issue with the HVAC system, too bad. It's on you to do that due diligence beforehand. That's how they're doing it. And also just the timelines with these processes with the banks. You're not going to make an offer at noon and have it accepted by midnight. Very rarely. This is going to go on for several business days, back and forth and back and forth. I've experienced this representing buyers, but also, when the bank hires us to sell their property as well. I think that there's like a bit of misinformation where people think power of sale means cheap. I can promise you, look at the profit margins for the big 5 banks in Canada this year. They're not sweating to hold on to these properties to get their market value, or at least get their loan amount back, right? They're not just going to give them away. And how the process works, if a bank does hire a realtor, because they would have had to do it for all these circumstances to be on the MLS system, I can tell you they're very diligent. We have to send in full proposals, what we're going to do, and we have to give very detailed reports every single month. And when we need a price change, like they give you a lot of pushback. I'm just being honest with you guys. So for some people, if the perfect property comes up and it's power of sale, great, go buy it. But just make sure the real estate agent you are using understands what the process is going to look like. And then the big talking point is obviously that these numbers are much bigger than they've previously been. Hopefully that sheds some light on the power of sale situation here in the city of Toronto. If you have any questions, please let me know below. My name is Tom Storey, and remember, home is where your story begins.